finals. Get our favorite plays on the totals, sides, props, exotics, and futures to jump on now. So let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Subject sin quiere consultar con Soferino. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben.
Hey there, welcome to Wanna Bet. I am just making sure this is on the Twitter. And it is. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Obviously, we are going to be talking a fair amount of basketball on today's show. A lot of people lost money on Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Not us. We broke even individually and collectively as a show, including Eric Casillas and Kate Constable, who joined us earlier in the week to help break this game down, because we do like to jump on things early. We destroyed Game 2 of the Finals. Game 3, we held serve. We tread water. We have a lot of thoughts on how what we saw last night hasn't already informed the bets we've made for Game 4 of the Finals. We've got some urgent MLB plays you're not going to want to miss, including some afternoon starts. So again, stay tuned for that. We'll talk a little NFL futures and some MLB futures, specifically Cincinnati Bengals turmoil there. Would you put your money on Mike Brown's team to make the playoffs? But Beltway, Ben, let's start with Game 3 of the Finals. The dog bit again. The dog probably bit even more in this one than the first game Indiana won, right? I mean, it is at home, so you factor that in and you know they're better at home. But they let a lead slip away late in the first half. OKC goes on a run to start the third quarter, and you're thinking, here we go. Like, here we go. Typical OKC, right? Come out of the halftime, adjustments go nuts. Pacers, Carlisle call that early timeout. They keep switching Nesmith and Nebhard on SGA. They hold him down. Halliburton has a Halliburton triple-double type of game. And the Pacers win relatively comfortably. And the Pacers pretty much dominate the second half, Beltway, Ben. And this was not Halliburton on a prayer shot after they had been more or less, held in check for 59 minutes. Pacers were the better team last night.
Yeah, and you look at the fourth quarter, 18 points for OKC. That's just not normal.
Crazy.
And to 32 from the Pacers to get outscored the way they did. And I know SGA started on the bench, but that's not an excuse for it was a lot of dumb turnovers, just bad basketball by them. And the one thing that stands out to me right before the end of the third quarter, Lou Dort hits that three. And they go 5, and I'm like, here we go. It felt like kind of the start of the second half where it's like, all right, they're going to go on this run. They're going to do it. And to which they start the second half. And the turnover that sticks out the most to me is Alex Caruso chucking it into TJ McConnell's hands for the most TJ McConnell play ever. That is TJ McConnell, as TJ McConnell as it gets. Steal, layup, ties the game. The crowd's going crazy. Everything's changed. You see the Thunder bench in the photo just like, oh my gosh, this is not good. And the Pacers proceed to go on that big run. And that was with 11 minutes left in the third quarter. He makes that layup to tie it. So, yeah, or put them, whatever it was, to tie it, put them down 1. It was just a tough showing from the Thunder, who I thought were going to win. I had SGA 30-plus points and them on the money line. And SGA, that was the first game in a while where it looked like early playoff SGA, where it looked like those first few games against Denver where the defense seemed to be throwing him off a little bit. His head bobbing wasn't drawing the fouls that it had in the first 2 games of the series. And, I mean, he got to the free throw line a little bit, but they need him to score the basketball more. Like, he has to. He's got to knock down threes he takes. And if he doesn't want to play super physical, because Andrew Nembhard, we know they grew up together, both from Canada. They play on the national team together. If he doesn't want to get physical inside with Nembhard, he's going to have to hit some threes, and that's not totally his game. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see how Game 4 goes. Again, I will probably be on the or not on a spread or anything, but I think the Thunder will probably win to even the series. But it's not a lot that's telling me that it will, like it has in past. Like, this Pacers team is inevitable. They are such a pest, and we can compare rosters, we can compare lineups. Like, the one team that's more talented is down 2-1. That's how I feel. I still think the Thunder are a more talented team, but the Pacers play their style of basketball and they don't switch out of it. And Dagnall, of course, is running guys in like it's hockey. Like I didn't really like that either.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some macro level things that you come out of this game wondering, okay, how much of this will look like a moment in time and how much of this will carry over. Is the Pacers bench in all the games that are played in Indiana, and let's face it, there's probably going to be at least 3 played in Indiana now. Is their bench going to dominate OKC's bench?
Right.
Like you said, it's a quintessential McConnell play, but that play is also the antithesis of everything Caruso's about.
Yeah.
Like he's super heady. He's spatially aware. He knows where he wins offensively and defensively on the court. He knows where to get to. He knows how to distribute the ball, knows what he does well, and knows what everybody else on the court does better to help set them up. And for that to be sort of the turning point, I mean, it does make me wonder a little bit about the Thunder psyche. Part of the reason I took the Thunder down to -2.5 was because they haven't been that great on the road, and they've started poorly on the road. And we haven't talked about it that much because most of those series have been short anyway, and they just destroy people at home, right? So, but this is a team that did not lose to the Eastern Conference in the regular season, and now they've lost 2 or 3 to an Eastern Conference team. So I think we've got, if you haven't shifted your mindset yet in how you're handicapping this series, and that this is a brave new world, and that, you know, especially at home, when the Pacers are at home, the Thunder might not be able to build those 18 to 22 point leads. Like, what was the biggest margin in this one? 9, I think. So, like,
Yeah.
I think you've got to give the Pacers their due and their respect. And when you look at these numbers, you might want to move them. You know, don't just go with what they're putting out there. I think you really got to look to these alt markets and try to find ways to move things in your direction a little bit. Because I do think they're weighted a little bit skewed. And frankly, I think some of the numbers out there early for this game probably aren't giving the Pacers their due as well. And yeah, to your point about Daniel, like we talked about this after game 1. Is he overthinking things? Is he out coaching himself? Like, is he coaching against ghosts? Bro, you have the better roster, right? Figure out how to use it. Carlisle figured out how to unlock Halliburton in that last game, right?
Yeah.
Now, Daniel's got to figure out how to unlock SGA, how to counter those counters. And frankly, he better find, I think, a way to lean into the double big lineup more and make that work for him. I think he's got to figure his rotations out.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned was Alex Caruso, and he, again, all season long with them felt like that Drew Holiday piece to the Celtics where they should not have got him for what they did. And Josh Giddey was a high draft pick, but Josh Giddey exploded in Chicago, which is good to see. But before, he wasn't doing that. So this was a win-win trade for them. They could get rid of that because he didn't really fit there. And they get a guy in Caruso who's going to play great minutes. He played 32 minutes last night and logged a -15. Plus minus isn't everything, but it was clear he was not playing good basketball. He didn't look comfortable with the ball. We talked about the one turnover that was game-changing at the time. And I just, like, if Daigneault wants to be so pretty, when you see a guy really not playing well, why is he out there? Isaiah Joe comes in for 4 minutes, knocks down 2 threes, and all right, you're banished back to the bench. Alex Caruso plays 32 minutes, doesn't put really, and I get it. He has played well throughout the playoffs. He's an older player. I understand that. But when he was out there, they were not playing good. He wasn't settling things down. He wasn't doing any of that. And we were texting. I had an issue with the Hartenstein usage. He had a few turnovers, and I understand, but when he was out there, he's bigger than anybody the Pacers have. He was trying to work inside a little bit. He had 2 handoff assists, one to Alex Caruso where he missed the layup, and one to Jalen Williams where he throws down a dunk that hits the back of the rim and goes out. Like, sorry, that's me complaining about the bet loss a little bit, but it's just I don't understand why he refuses to play Hartenstein as much as he does. But like I was saying before, like you're watching and it's every 2 stoppages we're hearing the buzzer to sub somebody in. I'm like, this isn't hockey, dude. Like I understand that they've pushed buttons here and there throughout the playoffs, and that's kind of the way he goes. But like Kenrich Williams sub in for 2 minutes, get out. Like I just didn't understand. It felt like he was looking way too much into it in a road environment where let's stick with our top guys and let's try to get up 2-1. Because even if we do lose game 4, we're 2-2 headed home. I think he just overdid it a little too much. It was way too much for me.
Caruso was definitely on the ball too much. That's a great point. And SGA's minutes probably need to go up. probably need to go up in game 4. All right, we will touch on this game as we go through our downs here. First, second, third down, our 3 favorite bets of the day in order of, I guess least, even though we like them all, to best. Third down, money down in the NFL, our money down here. As I told you guys, 4th and long, we got some MLB futures, and we'll talk about the Bengals in overtime. Beltway Ben, what you got on first down?
Yeah, so first down here, I am going to the College World Series, and I don't love taking a favorite because the most non-college baseball watcher easily says, "Oh, they're the favorite. Let me take it." But I do like Arkansas to win the College World Series. I think they are the best team in the country, and they showed it in this super regional against Tennessee, who won it all last year. Again, Tennessee has been a little bit down this year, but Dave Van Horn deserves it. He was the runner-up in 2018, where they had a final out against Oregon State, pop up over the first base head. They run back, the ball drops. Oregon State proceeds, tie the game up, wins it, and Arkansas really gave it away. They were up 1-0 in the series. But they have Zach Root and Gage Wood, top 2 starters in the rotation. Zach Root, the transfer from East Carolina, he's been very good. We saw the energy against Tennessee, and we saw how he shut them down. Their bullpen's super strong. They have the SEC Player of the Year in Wahiwa Aloy and his brother, who's also very good. Those brothers are great. Maxwell, Kazil, Davelin, all of these guys have been hitting the ball very well in the regionals. Since the Fayetteville Regional began, they have 6 guys batting .250 or above, and batting averages and everything. But if you look in college baseball, it does mean a little bit. 7 of 9 starters have hit a home run in the postseason. They're doing it at the plate. Their starters are good. They're playing with some energy. And we've heard through a lot of pressers how much they want to win this for Van Horn, who I said, as great of a coach as he's been, he's won a D2 title, has not won a Division I title. They want to do it for him. I like them to win it, plus 200. Again, they are the favorite. This is really going to come down to game 1, right? They're going to be facing a top 8 pick, an LSU starter. LSU, Arkansas to start the College World Series in that bracket. It's kind of tough for Arkansas, but if they win game 1, force LSU to the elimination game, they're in a very good spot. And I like Arkansas to win that game. So I'm taking Arkansas to win the College World Series at plus 200.
Excellent. Sue Pig?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's the Suey Pig call. I'm
Suey,
right.
yeah. Go Hogs.
Or Woo Pig Suey.
Woo Pig Suey. Hey, I'm sure Heston Kerstad will be watching from the Norfolk Tides clubhouse, so that'll be great.
Unfortunately.
First down for me, Beltway Ben. I'm going to do something I don't do a whole lot. And, if you go and look at FanDuel, they will give you some sort of built-in parlays with different odds. And I am taking Skubal with at least 7 strikeouts and the Tigers to win this ball game against the Orioles tonight. Now, look, they really want you to take the over 7.5 on Skubal strikeouts. Like we know Skubal, dominant strikeout pitcher in the American League. And if you paid any attention to baseball this year, in American League baseball, you know that the Orioles do not hit lefties at all. They get dominated by bad lefties. They just got dominated by bad lefties in Sacktown. And here they are facing arguably the greatest lefty on the planet. I went this way because I just didn't want to go to the 8th strikeout just in case his pitch count gets really run up early. Or in case this game gets sort of out of reach and they pull him early because the Tigers are playing for the 1 seed and they're playing the long game. And he is an ace among aces. And I didn't like the value attached to some of that. So why do I love this? Well, Skubal versus the Orioles in his career, strikeout-wise, 11-11, 6-4. He has 32 strikeouts in 23 2/3 innings pitched against the Orioles in his career. What kind of form are the Orioles in right now? In their last 7 games, as you know, Beltway Ben, the O's have struck out 66 times. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, Colton Cowser's back and Jordan Westberg's back and they got their whole offense back. Colton Cowser's a strikeout machine. Jordan Westberg's last 300 plate appearances, he's striking out 25% of the time. Like, the Orioles are 28th in Major League Baseball in K rate this year. They're striking out over 25% of the time against left-handed pitching. That's among the worst in the league. They're 4-14 against lefties this year, hence the money line. The Tigers have won 6 of Skubal's last 7 starts, and Skubal's averaging over 8 strikeouts per start on the season. Tigers lost last night. They want to win this series. I don't really fancy Dean Kramer for the Orioles. He's a league average type pitcher, a lot of variance and oscillation. He's either really good or really bad. I think this ballpark will play pretty well for the Tigers. So I decided to go that way. All right, second down. I'm staying in MLB here, Beltway Ben. I'm taking the New York Mets minus 1.5 first 5 on the run line. You can get that at minus 130 at DraftKings. So why am I playing it this way? Like, it's minus 1.5 pretty much everywhere. And look, the Mets have been a great first 5 team. Like, they're 21-12 on the first 5 run line this year. Washington 10-23 on the first 5 run line this year. That's 29th in baseball. Only Colorado's worse. Washington has only 8 money line wins in the first 5 on the road all season. So the 1.5, like, sure, you could go that way, but I don't mind spending the juice here to just win by 1, just because the Mets bats do get a little fickle. And do I think they'll pound Mike Soroka, who had a 5.50 ERA in May and gave up 5 home runs in 26 innings pitched? Like, I think they will, but weird things can happen in a day game. Sometimes it can be hard to pick the ball up. So I do just worry about the Mets maybe not running into it as much as I would think. But why I love this bet, Beltway Ben, and again, it's a 1 p.m. Eastern start. Senga in 5-day games this year, 1.93 ERA. The league batting 165 off of him. He's 4-1 in those games, just 16 hits allowed in over 30 innings pitched. A 237 slug against Senga in day games. 514 OPS against Senga in day games. That is a streaky Nats lineup, and at times it's good. It hasn't been great lately. Again, elite run first 5 team versus a bad first 5 team. I'll take the bullpens out of it. That's how I attack this game. What about you on second down, Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to actually get into that Mets game with my third down play. But second down, we are sticking with the MLB. Isaac Paredes over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at minus 135. Facing Davis Martin today, who righties are slugging 471 against him on the road. He hasn't been good against righties all year. He's had a decent start to the season, starting to come back down to earth a little bit and hasn't been as good lately. But if you look at Isaac Paredes against right-handed pitching, 266, 360, 477 slash line compared to 154, 267, 385 against left-handed pitching. He's also been better with power at home. It's kind of funny. He has the same batting average home on the road. But if you look, his slug at home is 485. So he's hitting for more power. We know what that left field wall is like at, Astros Park, Minute Maid. So he turns on one today against Davis Martin. Wouldn't surprise me to see him go yard. He has been pretty good of late. The Astros lineup against the White Sox, they showed a little bit of what they could do last night. I like them to continue that rolling. Maybe some more power from the rest of the lineup. It wouldn't surprise me to see him hit a home run here and do it on his own. But again, where he is in that lineup, he's going to get some RBI opportunities today. And against the White Sox, who they stole that first one like you and Kate had. But I don't see it happening again today. I think this guy in Paredes is going to do some damage today. Christian Walker also good against righties. I was looking at his prop as well. Altuve, Pena's having a monster year after a letdown last season. So I like him to come up with some RBI opportunity spots today, and I like him to go over this hits, runs, and RBIs prop.
Yeah, part of the reason Kate and I love first 5 White Sox money line in the first game of that series. She loved White Sox money line for the game. They had Shane Smith on the mound, and he's gonna show up in fourth down, or fourth and long if you're not familiar with him. All right, Ben, we're gonna mix this up a little bit. I've got 2 third down picks, so I'm gonna give a third down pick. You give a third down pick, and I'm gonna come back with another third down pick because there are things I love in this NBA game that I don't think are gonna be here when we reconvene tomorrow with our buddy Greg Peterson from VSiN at noon to do tomorrow's show. So I'm gonna start with the game over 225.5. You guys know I love the first half over in this last game. And while we did not go over for the game, because in part, somehow OKC scored like 18 points in the fourth quarter, we still got 224 points, right, in that game. Now, the games in OKC were opening around 228.5 and pushing 230 on the totals. So I'm comfortable playing this here. If you want to take it down 1.5 or something like that, I'm never mad at you for it. But I'm comfortable with that because we got 224 in the last game, and OKC didn't score in the fourth quarter. We got 224 in the last game, Ben, and OKC gave away 20 possessions with turnovers, right? That's not happening again. Like, we got 224 in the last game, and the Pacers made just 9 threes at home. And you could tell me, well, part of the reason we got 224 in the last game was because the Pacers got like 50 bench points. Is that going to happen again? Maybe not. But I'll tell you this. Wiggins and Caruso, like, they're not all getting blanked. Like, the OKC bench, like, ain't all getting blanked in this next game. So they're going to help us out. We've got an Indiana team that plays at elite pace at home. We've got OKC, who somehow only attempted 79 field goals. Ben, they only attempted 79 field goals last night. Like, that's not happening again. I think this series, by the time it's all over, if you average up all the game scores, it's probably going to come in on average, I think, right around 229. We know that Indiana knows we've got to score. We've got to run. We can't beat them trying to bleed the clock. The clock's got to be our friend. And you're telling me that they're not practicing today, OKC, the Thunder practice isn't all about, hey, guys, like, if you don't want to score 120 points, let's just shut it down. You know what I mean? Like, let's go home. Like, if we're not willing to run and play as a team and be connected and put our MVP on the court a little bit more, and like, you're telling me that they don't think they need 120 to win on the road? Because I do. And all these crap starts on the road, and they've had crap starts on the road. Like, even go back even against Memphis, some of those starts are not what you would think they would be, given how much better they are than that team. Like, at some point, that trend ends as well. Look, if you want to take the first half down to, from 114 to like 112, you could play it that way and go over the first half. But for the minus 108, I'm comfortable going over on the game. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, like I said, I was going to get back to the MLB, that Mets game specifically, and I'm going to go with Francisco Lindor over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at minus 145. 284, 361, 487 slash line against right-handed pitching this season. You guys know how much I love my leadoff spot guys because the at-bats are maximized.
Yep.
He's going to do some damage. He has done it all year, really. In the month of June, he's got a 500 slug, and he's actually been very good at Citi Field. 348, 403, 636 slash line for him at Citi Field. And again, where he's at in the lineup, you have Nimmo behind him. You have Juan Soto, who has finally figured things out behind him. And then you have Pete Alonso in the 4 spot. Lindor's an aggressive player. We know he'll get on base at least if he walks. And that's why I like hits, runs, and RBIs, because if he has 2 walks and scores 2 runs, I don't have to worry about the total bases. I don't have to worry about driving in runs. He's going to get on base. I think he'll do some damage at the plate hitting. Mike Soroka's gotten hit hard by lefties on the road this season. 667 slug for lefties against Soroka. Not a great starter. And it was funny because after spring, everybody's talking about Soroka's got things figured out, how good he looked, and now he's been getting hit around pretty hard. So I like Lindor to go over the 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. And again, when you have the chance to get a leadoff hitter, minus 145, not amazing odds, but it's for a leadoff hitter at 1.5. I'm going to take it at minus 145.
Love it. I hope he does damage from the first at bat. I hope they hit Soroka around. I think they probably will. Okay, I'm cheating. My second, third down bet. We're staying in the NBA Finals. Now, the standard line in the first half of this game is Indiana +4. I'm going to take it up to +5.5 because, again, I still feel like there's a lot of value in this number. I'm going to play it a little safer. But this is the part that's starting to blow my mind a little bit, Ben. When we talked about the games in OKC, right, the spread's 11, and they're making you lay 8 in the first half because OKC's so great in the first half at home. And now the secret's out. And yeah, was I playing it 6 weeks ago? Sure. But now everybody knows. But here's the thing. Indiana's offensive rating in the first half of games at home is 120.9. It's identical to OKC's. Like, Indiana's as efficient of an offense in the first half at home. And what people aren't talking about as much, and we saw it come into play the last game, OKC on the road, their D rating 115.3. It's 9th among all playoff teams. It's frankly bad. OKC's allowing 60 points per first half on the road. They're only 4-4 on the road. Like, they played 8 games, pretty big sample size against 3 different teams. They're giving up 60 points in the first half on the road. Like, Indiana's net rating at home first half is +16.1. Now, OKC's is +31. That's ridiculous. But a +16.1 net rating through 8 games in the first half of playoff basketball at home is pretty ridiculous. Like, OKC's first half net rating on the road, -9.2. Let's just go old school, plus minus. OKC is losing the first half on the road in the playoffs by 4.8 points. Indiana is winning the first half at home in the playoffs by 8.1 points. Oh, yeah, OKC allowing 40% three-point shots against them in the first half of these playoff games on the road. Is the 4 enough? Hey, you want to sprinkle on Pacers first half money line? I would play that before I would play the Thunder here. But for me, in this situation, giving out only a few bets on this entire game, I took it up to 5.5. Now they got to beat me by 2 possessions in 24 minutes in my place. And even if they come out guns a-blazing, they've had defensive issues on the road. So that's my other third down bet. We'll have more on that game for you guys tomorrow, as well as we continue to grind the numbers. 4th and long, Beltway Bend. We're past Memorial Day. We know a little bit more about these baseball teams than we did before. And these MLB futures markets are ever changing. I have dabbled on a few. I probably won't do much of this after July 4th. So every couple of weeks, I kind of look at these markets, see if they've moved. I gave a couple of weeks out. Hey, 18-1 for the Royals to catch the Tigers. I'm heavy leverage on the Tigers. I'm going to mitigate that a little bit by getting on the Royals. You like the Halos to make the playoffs at 18-1, and they're playing decent ball. They get the Orioles this weekend. That could be good for them. Are there any MLB futures right now that interest you?
When I look, like the Tigers at plus 310 to win the AL. That's cool, because I just think when you look at how they match up with the Yankees, how healthy are the Yankees is a big question. When that time comes in the playoffs, and the Yankees, they've shown well, but again, ace versus ace, as good as Fried's been, Tarik Skubal is around, and how good he is. So that was one I was looking at. But again, there's not a lot that I love. I told you how much I loved the Angels, and they have been playing very, very good, right? They're one game under 500, I believe. And then, looking at the MVP markets, there's nothing really there. Skubal's minus 210 to win the AL Cy Young. If he's healthy, he's going to win it again. So, barring health, he wins that. So, there's not a lot that I love on the MLB futures market as I was looking through. Rangers to make the playoffs is one that I was considering, just with Bochy, plus 260. And again, we know how bad their lineup has truly been. It has been.
I feel like that should be more value than that.
Yeah, but again, when you look at the roster that they have, if Seager can get right, if Simeon can find himself at the plate, that lineup turns it up a little bit. Should it be more? Yeah, probably. Even with the division they're in, the Astros are playing good, but the Mariners are the joke that we thought they were. The A's, whatever, and then the Angels. You know how I feel about the Angels, but if it's a race between the Angels and Rangers, and the Rangers have the same issues as the Angels in terms of bullpen. Our buddy Jacob Webb, Orioles guy, he's one of their big time relievers, and he has not been good whatsoever. So Giants to make the playoffs minus 172. There's juice, but as good as they're playing, I think they will be making the playoffs. Not buying them to make a run in the playoffs, but since the wild cards expanded to 3 teams, Giants should be getting in minus 172. I kind of like that. But again, there's just not a lot of award props, because I'm a big prop guy. There's a lot of award props that there's enough, the odds are good enough for me to go with. Right now, I think guy like Aaron Judge is having the best first half maybe in baseball history, and he's minus 2,200 to win the MVP award. Just stuff that's just not really worth it. But what are you looking at?
Well, one that interests me is Shane Smith to win the AL Rookie of the Year at plus 5,000. He just shut down a pretty good Astros lineup again last night. We're talking about a sub 2.5 ERA. He doesn't get much run support because the White Sox stink. A Rule 5 kid who there was no fanfare around him. But I'm kind of playing the field. The guys who are ahead of him right now in terms of the value on the odds. Jason Dominguez, I'm not buying that. I mean, the Yankees lineup, everybody's got an OPS above 730. They're all above league average. He bats at the bottom of that lineup. He's a switch hitter who really only hits from one side of the plate. There's natural power there. He hasn't tapped into it. He's a bit of a disaster in the outfield. I don't buy it. Christian Campbell has fallen off since a hot start. Jack Caglione, he just got here, man. And it's not a great Royals lineup, and he missed a third of the season. Same thing with Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony now. They're coming from behind. I wonder if they're going to cancel each other out a little bit. And I also just wonder if that team has as much toxicity as I think is there. Like,
Yeah.
do the wheels fall off? You know what I mean? Like, this kid Smith is incredibly consistent. He's a pitcher, not a thrower. Like, people have had time to adjust to him. It hasn't happened. And for 50-1, I did put a few bucks on it. Like, they're not as bad as they were last year. Is the bullpen going to screw him a bunch of times? Yeah. But I think voters are somewhat smart enough now to kind of look through that. Like, if this kid makes 30 starts and has a 2.5 ERA and even the peripherals look good, and I don't know. I think in the second half, people will be talking about him a little bit more. I do also kind of like the Padres to win the National League at 15 to 1. Like, I know they just lost that series to the Dodgers, but it's clear they match up okay with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And
They had to beat last year.
yeah, they might make something happen at the deadline, and I just have a weird feeling about the Dodgers. Okay, overtime, Ben. What would you like to explore here in overtime?
Yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals to miss the playoffs at plus 144. To make it, they are minus 170. Before we get into it, you covered the NFL for so long. You've definitely had a lot of experiences, seen stuff there, seen stuff happen around all of the NFL. First off, have you ever seen anything like this Shamar Stewart situation? And does it surprise you at all, given that it's in Cincinnati?
I've seen it, and we've seen it before. Now, normally the player stays away. He's not in the building,
Right.
so he's
Right.
not able to expose them for their fraudulent behavior with all of the local beat writers there inside the team's locker room. But, like, even under this new CBA or the last couple of CBAs where things have been slotted, I guess going back to about 2009 now, so you can't really fight about the money anymore. I mean, I'm old enough to remember Joey Bosa and the Chargers, and he missed a fair amount of time over offset language and future guarantees and defaults in the contract and some of this real, minute verbiage that probably never matters anyway. But so it happens, and it happens other places. I applaud this young man for being willing to say what he said. Everything is completely valid. Like, now they're picking a fight with me, and they want to change these things from the structure of everything they've done before. Like, at a time where it's clear their defense sucks, and they're going to war with Trey Hendrickson, the guy they drafted me to replace a year from now. Like, even if they keep him around here for another year, I doubt there's going to be a long-term deal. So, yeah, look, the vibes there are not great. And I still don't buy their offensive line. And I don't know that I buy their defensive coordinator. Like, I think they had a really good defensive coordinator. I don't think the problem was that, Lou Anarumo got stupid all of a sudden and couldn't make astute second half observation or halftime adjustments anymore. I think it's because the roster sucks on that side of the ball. They don't have winning D tackles, like Hendrickson, their best player, they're going to war with. The secondary has issues. Linebacker, there's issues. My problem here with this bet, Ben, is it's really hard for me to come up with the third wildcard team in the AFC.
Yeah.
Like, the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Texans, I'm pretty confident win those divisions. And I like Denver and the Chargers, like Sean Payton and Harbaugh. Those are Hall of Fame coaches. Like, they don't beat themselves. They know what their strengths are. They know what their weaknesses are. Oh, yeah, and they both proved to be playoff teams last year. Could Pittsburgh make it over Cincinnati as much as I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to do much for them? Like, they could, because it is Mike Tomlin, and they do go to the playoffs all the time. And, if they're healthy on defense, it's a good defense. Could it be Miami? I don't think so. I think he's getting fired by Thanksgiving. A lot of people are big on the Patriots. I got to see that before I believe it. Anybody else in the NFC South? Like, I can't get there. I can't get there with the rookie coach in Jacksonville and Lawrence, who I think is broken. So while I would never pay the freight for them to make the playoffs, the minus 175 does less than nothing for me. If I had to bet this one way or the other, trying to find copper here. Little dog, I'd sprinkle on them to miss this. I'd sprinkle on them to miss. I also might wait a little bit, Beltway Ben, because eventually Shamar Stewart's going to get signed, and we'll see about the Hendrickson thing. But like maybe you get a little better odds down the road if it looks like one of these situations is kind of put to bed. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, and I know in terms of the situation, of course, it's happened around the league. Roquan Smith was Chicago. Just when he was drafted there, it took a while for them to figure that deal out. But just with the Bengals, that's what I'm saying. Like I just feel I don't like again. You've covered it longer than me, like or much longer. I don't like just the Bengals situation with everything they've had. They dealt with the wide receiver issues last year, and now all of a sudden they're dealing with two edge rushers, one who they drafted probably to replace the guy. And to me, like Hendrickson seems pretty set. Like he's not going to play for them. Like, and you see guys, try to call the team's bluff and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I'm not confident that he's in this situation. He's fine with just, coming back and kind of letting things go. But no, I'm punting on them to miss the playoffs, but I'm also not playing them to make it. I would probably slide with them to make it, but at minus 170, like why should I do that with them having a joke of a defense and really nothing changing, right? The guy that you drafted that you expect to be big impact, first off in college, he wasn't big impact. And I understand things change in the NFL, but he didn't have a ton of sacks in college. Of course, it will probably change in the NFL, but like how much of an impact is he to that defense that has issues in all three phases, right? They are not good defensively. Of course, they move Anarumo out, to which he finds a job very quickly because other people around the league can see he was dealt a very, very bad hand. So, no, I'm not going to take it. I just think Joe Burrow and that offense, again, the offensive line is absolutely a problem, but he finds a way to score points, and he will continue to as long as he's healthy. So this one just definitely wanted to hear your thoughts on the situation.
Yeah, he does get hurt, and they do have slow starts, and I don't buy the offensive line. And if one of those receivers goes down, all of a sudden the whole thing gets a little bit more predictable. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting thing. But, Mike Brown, he's been going to war with football players for 50 years. He really, boy, I don't know how many owners like fighting players, especially players before they even play a practice snap for him, more than Mike Brown. So good luck with that, brother. Well, that wraps up our early Thursday edition of Wanna Bet. You can check out other clips, exclusive stuff on YouTube. Please go to youtube.com/@WannaBetWithUs, or just go to YouTube and put in Wanna Bet. You can find us. If you hit subscribe, you'll get all of our alerts as they go out. Doesn't cost you a dime. We'll be back tomorrow at noon with our buddy Greg Peterson from VSiN. Greg really does an amazing job breaking down college basketball. We want to talk to him and get on some teams and some leans that he has early before those markets fully form to get in on those college basketball futures. And Greg is all over every single Major League Baseball game played every day. So we'll get his best bets for the weekend in baseball. We'll talk some college basketball. We'll have some more NBA plays for you. And we'll have some fun tomorrow on Wanna Bet.